I love The Mummy. This one, not that one, this one too. Stephen Sommers' The Mummy is one of my favorite movies of all time. A rollicking horror adventure film that cannot be replicated. It was one of the stepping stones to me enjoying horror and my introduction to the Universal monsters. The Mummy came out on VHS September 28th, 1999. I remember seeing it on one of the end caps at Target. It had a red film over it where if you pulled it back, you would see this gigantic sand face with this beautiful woman and this dude that she was standing next to. I was looking at it mesmerized. I gotta get this thing. And I looked up at my mom and I was just like, hey mom, can I get this? No, it's gonna scare you. No, it isn't. Yes, it is. No, it isn't. Yes, it is. No, it isn't. Fine. We'll get it. She bought it. We went home, popped some popcorn, and got the entire family around the TV. We started the tape, and during the previews, they had this cool sizzle reel of all of the Universal monsters. The Bride of Frankenstein, Dracula, the Wolfman, the Creature of the Black Lagoon, the Invisible Man, Frankenstein's monster. And I got a feeling in my stomach because I was like, ooh, this is kind of creepy. But I'm going to save face. I'm going to be brave. This isn't going to scare me. She was wrong. I got this. I got this. It scared me. It all started with this tilt-up of Anubis's skinny-ass midnight legs and his towering visage against the night sky. Then we fast-forward to the yelping of dogs or coyotes. I don't know. I didn't know at the time. I was just like, what is that sound? I have never heard of it. I'm 6. Jonathan jumps out of a crypt. This motherfucker's on fire. A bug crawls inside of a man. And then to top it all off, this shit happens. I distinctly remember this being the moment that broke me. I remember throwing the blanket over my head and screaming, take it back, because like, what am I looking at? You know, it's just like, it's this camera move that is just like zooming toward this gooey monster of a man. Dead bodies aren't supposed to look like that. They're supposed to be like weird skeletons or something. Why does he look like beef jerky? What the fuck's going on? And on top of everything else, there's this weird high-pitched scream while you're approaching this disfigured creature. Also, I was just screaming, take it back, take it back. I sounded like that dude from the Hulk.
It's not stopping. Take it back.
There might have been a couple more times where I was screaming, take it back, but that was the one that really stuck with me. I was petrified. And my mom was like, you bought it, we're gonna watch it. You bought it, we bought it, everyone's around the TV, we're watching this thing. You're gonna sit through it. And a couple scares here and there aside, I enjoyed The Mummy. Because on top of all the horror, there was heroism, sacrifice, action, comedy.
Hey! O'Connell! It looks to me like I've got all the horses! Hey, Benny! Looks to me like you're on the wrong side of the river!
Amazing effects, memorable characters, stakes.
What's the challenge then?
Rescue the damsel in distress, kill the bad guy, and save the world.
Oh.
Lore, and Rachel Weisz. God damn, wow. Beautiful. I think I watched The Mummy every day, fast forwarding through the scary bits, of course, until Spider-Man came out on VHS. I was in love with this thing. And over the years, I've come to appreciate this movie more and more. Because it is the perfect combination of right place, right time, right creatives. It all worked, and no one's been able to crack that egg again. One thing does come close, its sequel, The Mummy Returns. The Mummy Returns is a solid sequel. The entire cast returns, even some unexpected ones. The lore gets expanded upon, not everything works in that arena, but I appreciate them for not being afraid for pushing the story forward. Rick and Evie have grown, their chemistry never fails to light up the screen, the action is good, the score is great. Alan Silvestri takes over from Jerry Goldsmith in this movie, and he brings along one of my favorite tracks of all time, My First Bus Ride. Though he overuses it in some bits, it still works perfectly, pretty much over everything. It's just a great score that really brings out the adventure of this picture. There's a wonderful sense of awe, scope, and whimsy to this adventure. The new characters are great, the tone is balanced nicely. It's a sequel that might not be as good as the first, but it's nice to spend time with these characters again, to jump back in the pool of this world. But then the Mummy franchise went silent until... Wait a second. Wait, hold on. Well, Y'all, I'm gonna be honest, I literally forgot this movie was a thing until writing this. So, The Mummy, The Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. It's fine. It's alright. At the time, I caught it on a Stars Free weekend. I liked that the Terracotta Warriors were this mummified army. I thought that was a cool plot point. I liked the part where Rick went...
Fight like a man!
I like the part where Jet Li did this cool floating backflip, and I like that when he turned into a dragon, and that's about it. That's really all I remember from this movie. I don't have much to say about Tomb of the Dragon Emperor, so we're just gonna keep rolling. But after that, the Mummy franchise took a nap until The Mummy 2017, which was supposed to be the launch of a Marvel-inspired shared universe starring the Universal Monsters. Now, I don't think this is a terrible idea. Anything can be good. You can make a movie about a spork, and it can be an emotional journey about self-discovery. I think the problem with the Dark Universe is that they had all this stuff, and thought if we put this stuff in front of people, they'll just show up, right? No. People like relationships. People like bonds, stakes, the ups and downs of adventure, a story worth going on. I think that's what studios failed to understand about Marvel's success and endurance when the MCU was booming. Above all else, we liked hanging out with these people. We liked hanging out with these characters, and we are excited for more people to join the gang. I don't want to hang out with any of these fucking people, especially under the lens in which this universe is presented, because my God, is it bland. The Mummy 2017 was a movie that I was initially excited about because I felt like they understood that they needed to do something different. Tom Cruise had been on a good run with some solid pictures. I liked Alex Kurtzman's films, Fast and Furious's Chris Morgan was on board to produce, and I thought once again that they understood that in order to measure up to The Mummy 1999, you had to do something different. If you're not going to be as funny as The Mummy, you gotta be scarier than it. If you're not gonna be as scary as it, you gotta be funnier. You gotta find something to carve out your own identity within this franchise. Little did I know that the thing that I was looking for was 10 years down the line, but we'll get there in a couple of minutes. The Mummy 2017 is really just this bland attempt at a reboot that never reaches the heights of its predecessor or makes any impact of its own. Upon rewatching it, I was like, yeah, this isn't that bad. Some familiar blockbuster trappings, but not bad. It's fine. Then we get to this scene, and I realize, oh, this is one of those Tom Cruise movies where he's the best man ever.
Hunt is the living manifestation of destiny.
Wanted by all, and holds the secret to saving humanity or destroying it. I like Tom Cruise. I like Tom Cruise a lot. I think he is a fantastic, malleable actor that can do just about anything. But some of his films, as of late, have had a bit of a pattern to them, Jim. They're all choosing cards from the same deck. And this one plays the Edge of Tomorrow card where he's a coward. But they play that card badly. The Mummy can't decide if Tom Cruise's character is a coward or not. Tom Cruise, who plays Nick Morton in this movie, is supposed to be this despicable human being, but he keeps doing things in the movie that says otherwise. Take this scene, for example. He's caught by some mummies, and Jenny walks in on the wrong key party, and Tom is like,
Jenny! Run! Run!
Then a scuffle breaks out and he rushes to save her. But 2 minutes later, he tries to leave her behind because he's a coward, right? But he's obviously not. Movie, be consistent with your characterization. Maybe in this scene, have him scream, "Come help me! Jenny, help me, help me, help me!" Do something like that. Or during the fight, have him absolutely be in it for himself. Jenny gets out of this pickle herself while Nick is fighting his way toward the van, and then you can have the scene in the van where she's like, "You left me. You're gonna leave me."
Were you just gonna leave me?
The coward angle just doesn't work. And on top of that also, the creativity in The Mummy just runs dry. Honestly, they used it all on the mummy herself, Princess Amenet. This is a pretty sick design that I'm sad to see go down with the wreckage that is this movie. They were on to something here. The four-eye thing, you're creating some cool iconography here. I haven't seen that before in this franchise. I haven't seen that before in really anything up until this point. The tatted, mummified body look works. Sofia Boutella gives it her all with what she's given by the screenplay. Amenet is a A+ design, wasted in a C- movie. Everything in this movie feels so fraught with we've seen that before or we've seen it done better. The bugs, the secret societies, the sand faces, they fail to make any of this stuff feel fresh or worth sticking around for. I remember watching the final battle of this movie thinking, man, if she just killed him, I'll be fine with that. If Princess Amenet ended this movie by burning down the entire world, I would be fine with it. She's the most interesting person in the room. Give her a Dos Equis and call it a fucking day. But instead, Nick Morton rallies. He kisses her to death while she screams no. Then he screams at another woman, scaring her to life. This was a tough rewatch, everyone. If you haven't realized, the Dark Universe is dead. Universal abandoned ideas for more and switched into more standalone installments for their monsters, like Wolfman, the Invisible Man, Renfield, and Abigail. But The Mummy did rise again. There were announcements for yet another reboot in the form of Lee Cronin's The Mummy and Faith Erin Hicks' The Mummy. Before we dive into Faith Erin Hicks' The Mummy, we got to talk about Lee Cronin's The Mummy. Lee Cronin's The Mummy was announced at the end of 2024, and here we are now with a movie that lives up to what I was talking about with The Mummy, rebooting it to do something new. This is not 1999's The Mummy, this is not 1932's The Mummy, this isn't 2017's The Mummy, this is Lee Cronin's The Mummy. If The Mummy and The Mummy Returns are Mario, full of life and adventure and color, Lee Cronin's The Mummy is Wario, but with a crack pipe. It is brutal, it is bloody. 5% of this movie I couldn't even watch because my eyes were closed. This is a fucked up piece of work. That reminded me a lot of 2013's Evil Dead and Evil Dead Rise, which Lee Cronin also directed. My only real qualm with this movie is that at 2 hours and 10 minutes, this is a lot to ask of an audience to sit through. This is a mean, vicious, hopeless story that keeps raising the temperature until the credits roll. All the levity is wrung out by the time we meet the mummy and never really re-enters the picture. This is one of those horror movies that when you leave the theater, you enter into the light of the hallway or the parking lot and you go, thank God. Because you feel like you've been crawling through a cave for 2 hours while rats have been gnawing at your feet. Also, if you bring your daughter back home who's been missing for years, and you put her in her room, and her room starts growing vines into the foundation of your home, out of her room, maybe, start asking questions. I don't know whom you ask these questions to, but maybe start investigating a little bit that something strange is going on. Why was your daughter in a coffin? Look past the first answer that you receive and just investigate a little further, because that's weird. Weird things start to happen in this movie that people just don't question, and I think you should question those things before things get worse, and you can't question them anymore because there's a mummy in your house. But overall, I like the movie. I like that it did something different. I like that this was Lee Cronin's movie, that this was his vision, and he succeeded at executing it. It's not exactly what I wanted from a mummy movie, but I appreciate it for taking a swing and taking it with a hell of a lot of personality. So if 2017's The Mummy is too cold, if Lee Cronin's The Mummy is too hot, then Faith Erin Hicks' The Mummy is just right. Skybound, Image, Universal teamed up for a new initiative that would bring their classic monsters to the medium of comics. It all started with James Tynion's The Fourth's Dracula and continued with takes on The Creature of Black Lagoon, Frankenstein, The Invisible Man, and The Phantom of the Opera. But the one that caught my eye was The Mummy, because if you can't tell, I love The Mummy. I really love The Mummy. And I love this version of The Mummy. Quick editor's note here. During my comic book reviews, I usually use a lot of the interiors from the book while I'm talking about it. It won't be the case this time. Unlike most of the books I review, I don't own The Mummy digitally. I only own it physically. So I was trying to scan some of the interiors in, but it just didn't come out to my liking, and I also don't want to damage the look of this book in translation to the video. I just don't want the coloring to look faded or any of the art to look faded. I think the art in this book is fantastic, and I just don't want to upset the look of that in the transfer to the video. There will be a few interiors here and there, but those are the ones that I think just came out the best. So yeah, there just won't be as many pictures of the interiors. I apologize about that, but I just want to make sure that the book looks as good as it can, or as it should be. Faith Erin Hicks did it. She did it, everyone. She made a good post-1999 Mummy remake, or at least the one I prefer out of all of them. Faith Erin Hicks' version of this tale takes us all the way back to the beginning, the 1930s where the original film took place. The Mummy 1999 is a remake of The Mummy 1932, and The Mummy 2025 is that film, but with a twist. In this story, we follow Helen Grosvenor, the daughter of a British man and an Egyptian woman. Her father is an archaeologist excavating a site that is believed to be cursed. Being that this is the mummy, it probably is cursed. One night, Helen goes out with a couple of local kids. The night ends with Ishmael, one of the local kids, and Helen at a dig site, sharing a moment in the moonlight while simultaneously Ralph Norton is looking through some notes Dr. Muller said not to read. And guess what? He reads them.
No! You must not read from the book!
It's not a book, it's a scroll, motherfucker, and I'm gonna read it. I shouldn't have read it. So yeah, he reads the Scroll of Thoth, and something happens, not only to Helen, who falls unconscious, but also to the mummy, who was definitely dead a couple of minutes ago. The mummy rises and Helen awakens, but she is no longer the only occupant in her body. It is revealed that the Scroll of Thoth has awakened a past life that resides in Helen's body. This life has always been there, watching Helen, living her experiences, but has never been able to communicate until now. We jump another 10 years to find Helen on the way to a gala. She and the voice are now besties, talking so openly to each other that some find Helen strange, though she doesn't mind. They go to the gala where they have put on a display of the remains of a Nox and a moon. And Helen and the voice notice that they look sort of similar. Someone else notices too, an attractive lad named Frank Wilpy. After a quick chat with Frank, Helen heads out, but as she's exiting, someone calls to the voice. Someone calls to a Nox and a moon. That someone being Ardith Bey, aka Imhotep. After he awakened, the mummy, Imhotep, took the guise of Ardith and has been searching for a Nox and a moon. The two eventually run into each other, and Imhotep reveals her past life. Nox and a moon was the pharaoh's daughter and a priestess who fell in love with Imhotep. Nox fell ill to a plague ravaging this kingdom. Once she died, Imhotep couldn't handle the loss, so he turned to the Scroll of Thoth to bring back Nox. He was stopped by the pharaoh's men from doing this. The pharaoh thought bringing Nox back like this would be spitting in the face of the gods, and decided to bury Imhotep alive along with the scroll. Once Nox is caught up on her past life, she concludes that she wants her body back. She wants to be back with Imhotep. And Helen is listening to all this like, what? You mean my body? There is a bit of tug-of-war, but eventually Nox does end up with control of Helen's body. And what ensues in the final issue is a battle of empathy and mysticism. I think the ending lands it. I don't want to spoil it. I think this series is worth reading in its entirety. The ending is a bit of a bummer. I wish it had a little bit more of a denouement, but damn, do I love this book. The art is great. Leo Ridge's colors are fantastic. I love the dual protagonists in this story, the fight they have to go through for understanding and supremacy. I like that they become friends for a little bit. I also think that this could have worked as a film, a $10 to $20 million film. Maybe up some of the mummy scares a little bit, but I think this would have worked perfectly as a psychological thriller / creature feature. The story of these two people wrestling for the will, while a third party lays down a sinister road in front of them. Plus the colors this series brings out, this palette would have been great to see on the big screen. Like, this could have been a more colorful Nosferatu. But this is also perfect as intended. The Mummy is a great retelling of a classic tale that stands on its own with a perfect little twist thrown in there. I liked it as much as The Mummy. I liked it more than The Mummy. I prefer it over The Mummy, even though I like The Mummy. And I haven't seen Tomb of the Dragon Emperor since 2008, so I don't have much to say on it. I recommend picking up The Mummy at your local comic book shop or online. If you can't find any floppies of it, it is also in a trade as well. But if you do get your hands on a floppy version of it, just be prepared to hold one of the best feeling comic books ever that you've ever held in your entire life. They put in a good amount of work into these. Those are my thoughts on The Mummy, most of the franchise. When I decided to pick up this book and do the video on it, I decided to go ahead and take the advantage of talking about everything for The Mummy from 1999, a little bit of the 1932 one, but mostly just all the iterations within the 2000s and the 2010s that we've seen. These movies meant a lot to me growing up. They introduced me to horror, they introduced me to the Universal monsters, and I just wanted, to throw them their flowers, their criticisms, and also throw some praise to Faith Erin Hicks and Leela Ridge's work on The Mummy, Skybound's and Image The Mummy, because that reignited the flame for me. I just really, really, really love the Mummy franchise and the Mummy stories, and I love when people are able to put their own spin on them and bring the story back for how many iterations that we will see. I also want to give one more shout out to something on the 2017 The Mummy. I think Brian Tyler's score is incredible. That's another thing that I hate. Princess Aminet and Brian Tyler's score, both things that have sunk with the wreckage of that film, because I think Brian Tyler really knocks it out of the park with that score. It's incredible. Okay, battery is dying, so we're going to try to see if I can wrap this up before that happens. So, if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you like hearing me talk about comics and sometimes movies, please hit that subscribe button. Speaking of movies, the next topic of my next video will be on the Invincible Iron Man from 2007. Can't wait to talk about that. And with all that being said, thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you on the next one. I never do a thumbs up. Why did I do a thumbs up? Battery's dying. Oh my god.